Hey folks, Dustin DePirac here, coming to you from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Flying solo today. Andy didn't come. You know, budget stuff. Some of these you can only send one person to. So anyway, yet again, Indiana falls short in yet another Big Ten football game. Now 0-7 in the conference. This time they go down 41-24 to Penn State, again at a sort of neutral site game that was supposed to be a home game and was sold for $3 million that IU got for this one. This one was a lot like a lot of games Indiana has lost in recent years. Not so much like the Wisconsin debacle last week. More sort of like the Northwestern and Iowa games this year. Even more so like say the Iowa game from last year. It was one of those games. Indiana was close for the most part. It was 24-24. Late in the third quarter, all turns on a blocked punt. I think it was the fourth one this year by Chris Hagerup. Andrew Daly, the safety from Penn State, came off the edge. The snap was a little bit wide and blocked it. James Van Fleet picked it up, ran in the end zone, and that pretty much turned it. Indiana never really had an answer after that. Penn State tacks on 10 points in the fourth quarter to put it away 41-24, and that officially means Indiana is eliminated from bowl contention. They again 4-7 overall. They can get to 5 wins if they manage to knock off Purdue in the bucket game next week, but 6 is now out of the question. So obviously you got the sort of disappointed looks that you would expect, talking to those guys afterwards. But Bill Lynch said, I really feel for those guys. They're great guys. Have done everything we've asked, and it's a shame they're not going to be playing in postseason. But we've got one more game, and that was kind of the same response they got from everybody. I think the one thing you're starting to see is a lot of, I guess, shoulder shrugging with this team. The kind of what can you do response to most when things go wrong. Hey, we lost. We got to move on. Let's get to the next one. And you can see sort of how the fans are not really thrilled about that, because there's not a lot of dwelling, I guess, which could be good or bad. But for the most part, they're just not talking about it, not getting upset about it, and just moving on. But few obviously shortcomings for this team. They play without minus Antonio Banks, already with Darius Willis out. It's been really tough for this team to get a running game. They try to do something a little bit different today. Put Ed Wright Baker in as a sort of the Wildcat quarterback for about 14 or 15 snaps to give Chappell a rest. It seemed like it gave them some degree of an opening, kind of spread things out maybe a little bit. They rushed 21 times for 110 yards as a team, although 61 of those were by wide receiver Tannen Doss, who had a 39-yard run that he broke out. But yet again, obviously, the defense has another game that it can't be too thrilled about, giving up, not nearly quite as bad as what they did against Wisconsin last week. This time gave up 400 yards, but obviously there were a few big plays that, a couple guys got lost. I think Derek Moya got, lost in the end zone for a 21-yard touchdown pass, and, for a couple others during the day. So yet another one, just kind of another one of those games for IU, where they keep, coming relatively close, making it relatively competitive, and basically falling short, not really being able to get over the hump, as they say. We asked Mitchell Evans about that. Just what was his thoughts on why does this team keep falling up short? Why is it that every time this team is close, it doesn't make the big play and the other team does? And he said, I don't have an answer for that. If we did, we'd fix it, but it's getting old. So it's obviously a feeling of frustration around this group, but they're obviously bottling up for the most part in terms of public comments. But obviously down to one game, and obviously the question now becomes, is this Bill Lynch's last game as the football coach at Indiana? It's obviously a tough decision for Fred Glass to make. Obviously, Lynch was in a bowl game the first year, and obviously has kind of done everything that Glass has asked him to do from a sort of a macro sense. I mean, he likes the way Lynch recruits. He likes Lynch's redshirt philosophy. Obviously, Lynch has made this team very active in the community. Obviously, it's good academically. He doesn't have to worry about those sorts of problems with him. It's generally a good face for the program. But of course, he's got 2 Big Ten wins over the last 3 seasons: 1-7 in 08, 1-7 in 09, and now 0-7 in 2010. Hoping just to get one win against Purdue in the bucket game next week. Obviously, might not be that hard. Purdue's not exactly in great shape, coming off a pretty heartbreaking loss for them today, blowing big lead against Michigan State. But it's a question, if he does beat Purdue, is that enough? Is that enough to show progress? Because that's obviously what Glass has stated that he's looking for. And it's tough to say. Has this team made progress at all? It hasn't been as competitive as last year's team was, even with a more veteran, experienced offense. Although they do have a less experienced defense, so it's tough to tell what kind of decisions Glass is going to make. He's got basically one more week to figure out what he wants to do, one more game to watch to see what this team does in terms of just in a game where they just straight play for pride with nothing else on the line. So that's about all I have. So thanks a lot. Keep following us this week, and we have some basketball this week. Thanks a lot.